I'm really thrilled today to introduce Sue Speck. She is the Director of Enterprise Cloud Solutions Office at the Department of Veterans Affairs, and we'll be talking about VA's journey to the cloud and cloud optimization.
Awesome.
So take it away. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to FinOps. I don't know about you guys, but I've had a great time over the last couple of days. So learned a lot, met a lot of new people. So network galore. Let's get started. I'm going to give you an overview of the VA as it is for some people that may not know. And then I'm going to do past, present, and future of where we're at. So with this is kind of a top-level org chart. But as you can see, we've got three different administrations. We have Veterans Benefit Administration, we have Veterans Health Administration, and we have NCA, National Cemetery Administration. OIT, Office of Information Technology, supports all of them. So we're really proud to be in that role. All right. This is kind of our ecosystem of our cloud. And if you look, we are a multi-cloud environment. We have within our multi-cloud, we have AWS and Azure. And within those spaces, we have a gov cloud, we have a commercial cloud, we have a platform containerization cloud or platform called VAPO. We also have a research analytics science platform, RASP, for our medical health researchers to do their computational science activities. So that's a really positive, newest, latest, greatest thing that we have going. And those are on each cloud. And here's kind of a timeline of how we've come along. We started, in 2017, kind of worked into 2018 when the Enterprise Cloud Solutions Office stood up as official in office. And then we got our first objective to go out and migrate a customer managed data center, and the contract was expiring, and we didn't want to renew that contract, so we had to move everything out of that data center into the cloud. And during travel down that timeline, that's when we really started talking about and discussing and working out reserved instances and savings plans, reservations. And we also learned the importance of engineering education, but more so complete education from our architects who solutioned our customers' requirements and scope, and then the engineers that helped build it and sustain it in the cloud. It was really critical for us at that point for them to understand the right sizing of the customer's requirements, and storage costs, and just a plethora of requirements and understanding had to happen. And then as we moved around about 2021, right after the pandemic hit, we realized that we needed a third-party tool, especially in a multi-cloud environment. We wanted a single pane of glass that we could manage our projects to and our burn rates and help our customers. They needed to see stuff, we needed to see stuff, and we had to keep everything separated, so we kind of matured into that area as well. So then we started down the FinOps. We actually started FinOps, I believe, at the beginning. We just didn't know it was FinOps, right? We didn't have a clue that that's what it was, but we knew about tagging. We knew we had to do some deep tagging, and we knew we had to do, that granular, had to have some way to manage each cost and where everything is. So it turned out to be right in line with FinOps. So it was refreshing to see, what we could do. So a little bit about that past. Like I was teasing you guys, in 2018 we received our first orders to go out and move this data center over to the cloud. And boy, there were some challenges there that was associated with that. We had a very aggressive schedule. I think it was like an eight months to move all that, so that was huge. And most companies start off small and move to the larger applications and systems, not the VA. we decided we want to do the largest first. So we took 3 of our most mission-critical systems in the VA, Veterans Benefit Management, which is, serves as your data, your claims, your veterans' claims, where they go. You had IAM is what I call it, Identity Access Management. That's the access to get in to do your work. And then My Healthy Vet, and that's your online vet claim health records for your vets. They schedule appointments and all that. So we took all 3 of those and migrated them. And we had some successes and we had some challenges. Some of the challenges included managing that data in multiple locations, right? The criticality of those systems, you couldn't bring them down. So we had to keep both active. So that was kind of a challenge. It took months to move. VBMS, I think if I remember, had over 800 million documents that we had to migrate. That's a huge amount to balance. So that was pretty impressive. And I think we ended up finishing that migration 2 months ahead of schedule. So we were really impressed with that. Some of the lessons learned that we captured during that is tagging matters, right? Tagging seriously matters, folks. When you're out there doing stuff, when you're standing up a cloud, it's critical to think about tagging at the beginning of your journey. Because if you wait and you're too far into your journey, it's not that you can't do it, because you can. It's going to be very painful, and it's going to slow you down, and it's going to take a lot of resources to go back in time and correct that stuff. So, and it's also critical to understand that as you grow, your tagging is going to grow. The more stuff you do in the cloud, the more possibility of having additional tags. So that was it. Quick and easy isn't always the best approach. Lift and shift isn't always the best thing to do, right? I mean, you don't want to just pick it up and move it. If you have to, absolutely, right? And then you could do your optimization. So we learned that early on. And really embrace that re-engineering and re-architecting. It's a critical time to do that. And I think it'll help you succeed for sure. Optimize your cloud resources, auto-scaling, containerization. Think about that stuff before you move and solution it to that, and it'll be a win-win. Use and foster cost and rate optimization. That's the theme, one of the themes in the FinOps, and it really is a foundational element that is critical to success, and especially in a multi-cloud environment too. For us, we found it very, very important and very powerful. And use of third-party software to manage multi-cloud. I know as we're learning in this conference, there's a lot of new tools standing up, and there's not a lot of new capability. Back in the day when we started, there really wasn't all that capability. We were doing a lot of that stuff manually. Spreadsheets 101, man. What fun. But so we've learned a lot since then. Product owners and IT support systems really need to understand the difference between CapEx and OpEx. Right? When you're coming from an on-prem world, you do things differently. It's just reality. And then when you move to the cloud, it's a different way to manage. You have a lot better opportunity to manage at a lower level, and and people need to understand that. We talk a lot in FinOps about your personas and who needs to do what and who needs to understand what. Really, in my book, it is from the very get-go, from your product owners that have a requirement, to your architects that solution it, to your engineers that build it and maintain it, to your acquisition teams, to your budget teams, that whole cradle to grave. It's critical that people understand what cloud is and how to manage it. And we had our change management issues, that adoption rate at the beginning, the resistance to change, the top level leadership buy-in. We had leadership buy-in, but the size of the VA and all the different administrations under, the 3 huge ones, we needed more. We didn't have enough. We thought we had enough, but we really didn't. And that's a journey that's continuing even today, even 5, 6 years after the fact. We're still trying to get that adoption rate from the top down. And we're getting there, you know, as more and more systems move in, we're getting there. All your finance teams and your acquisition teams have to learn a different way to build their contracts and manage their budgets. That's huge, you know, especially with full boats. Most of you know from the government arena, we do dual hats in a lot of things, and we keep ourselves incredibly busy. And adding an additional training, you know, methodology on it, it's a challenge. It remains a challenge today. It will be that way until, you know, your staff gets that training and gets that education and gets that experience under their belt before it really can be called a success. So here we are, present. We're great, thank you. No, I just the VA Enterprise Cloud. We use a lot of acronyms in the government arena, as you know, so we call it VAEC. The VAEC is now recognized as a bedrock system and a critical system in the VA, which means it's pretty important. It's not going to go away. It's not going to disappear. It's not a fly-by-night, you know, shiny toy that came out. And currently, we host over half of the mission-critical systems in the VA already, and either entirely or in a hybrid fashion. So we're pretty proud of that. And let's see, as of maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, we were at 320 apps in production, and overarching with our pre-prod and lab space, we were at over 412 or something along those lines. So about a third way there. I believe it's estimated in the VA that there's over 900 applications at the VA. So we're well within our journey to all things cloud, if that's, you know, the journey we take. We have became, ECSO is the Enterprise Cloud Solutions Office. So ECSO became the driver for Cloud FinOps years ago, probably when we didn't even realize that Cloud FinOps was a thing, you know? So it's kind of cool that it kind of meshed in, and we're learning quite a bit off of it. And some of the issues that we experience today, not issues, but definitely important topics, is tagging. Multi-cloud tenant. We tag by subscription and account. So we go down to, we have lab level, we have dev, we have test, we have production. You know, we have our VAPO, our platform. We have our RASP, you know, our research platform. All that tagging structure is different, and it's pretty integrated, and I think it's pretty complex, but I think we've done quite a good job doing that so far. But we will always have that. It's an ongoing journey, right? So the tag cleanup and making sure things are as good as they can be, that's critical. Garbage in, garbage out mentality. So if you don't have your tagging structure right and you don't maintain it, you just tag it and walk away, you're banking on nobody fat fingering it or making any kind of error. So it's critical that you have somebody maintain that and keep it up to date. Rate and use optimization. We use both of those in our acquisition process. We do rate negotiations with our contracts, and we work with both CSPs and our resellers to get the best that we can get. Use optimization, currently we're utilizing 1-year savings plans and 1-year reservations and 1-year reserved instances. We're kind of constrained on the 3-year right now, but we're working on that. We optimize and forever hone our best practices. We've had a lot of lessons learned, and we really believe in taking those lessons learned and driving those forward. And then the next I'm going to talk to is health assessments. Back in late 2019, our CIO was like, how are your systems doing in the VAEC? And what's that look like for you guys? So we took that back and we developed a health assessment. And what that started out as is a kind of like a quality control type activity. And what we took systems that were in sustainment for a period of time, and we pulled all the information. So we did it in a 4-phase process. We gathered all their data, their architecture, we looked at their cybersecurity, looked at the whole picture of what they have. And then we did an assessment on it. What could be better? Does it look good? Where can they save money? Where can they save, get the best ROI that they can? We put that in a report, and then we meet with them, we go over it, we can actually show them cost savings, money that they could save, substantial money that they could save by making those changes to those findings. So we started implementing that, and we are full board on that, and our customers love it. The adoption rate's growing substantially, and it's a way that customers can make the best use out of cloud. So with that, here's a use case. Veterans Legacy Memorial. It's an online National Cemetery memorial site that has quite a bit of records there that they share with the customers. And we took them, they had been in sustainment maybe a year and a half, 2 years. We pulled them, and we identified through looking at all their architecture, everything that they had, and they could potentially save up to $500,000 a month. A month, folks. That's a lot of money. Maybe not so much for the government, because we deal with a lot larger, but every dollar counts. Every budget counts. And what we did here is we started tracking it, and in our tool, we took how much they could save, and we actually showed them. You turn off the lights on the weekend, your dev environment. If you turn this off, it'll save you this amount of money. If you lower your storage cost or put a cost savings plan against your storage cost, it's going to save you X amount of dollars. So we just went through and itemized it, just like a light bill, of what you could do. And so we identified how much they could save, $529,000 a month. And then we tracked that progress. So this is kind of a burn down. So what they had started, what they've completed, we validated it, that they did complete it, and what they hadn't started, and what they had in progress. So we had that lifeline there for them. So that was pretty impressive for us, and it was pretty impressive for our leadership to see that. So we were pretty proud of that. Future. What do we look like going forward? Well, we're going to focus on building out our core principles in FinOps. There is a handful of us, and it's growing daily, that truly believe in FinOps, and we truly believe in the value added from FinOps. And we also understand that FinOps is a methodology, so it's not, like was saying in the morning meeting, it's not a race from start to finish. It's an ongoing journey. And with the methodology, you're going to be working on that continually. It's a new way to do business. So we're pretty excited about building that within the VA. We're going to be assessing what makes sense to centralize, what makes sense not to centralize, decentralize versus centralization, where that makes sense. We're going to continually work on tag cleanup, because that's incredibly important. And we're going to continue to look at right-sizing of and over and under right-sizing of our services. And that goes past our customers that are in the VAEC. It goes to our platform, the VAEC platform, right? So as the owner of the platform, it's my responsibility to make sure it's running as effectively and efficiently as it can. Our tools are running good, everything's operational, and running to my budget. So it's really important for me to ensure that we have that. So we will then continue to cultivate that spend data. We will cultivate the change agents. We'll grow that area. You know, the more we talk about it, the more we learn about it, the more we do, the more people get involved, the better successful outcome for a cloud we have. Establishing governance and control. I think the last serious policies that we had were like cloud smart. So it's time for us to grow and mature from there, right? We have 5 years of experience now. We're pretty smart. We know what we're doing. At least enough to start building on those policies and governance and guardrails, right? And it comes to even the cost optimization side of the house. You know, it's not a free check, it's not an unsigned check that people just go out and spend and do what they want to do. You know, I mean, the capability from going from on-prem to the cloud is almost a drug to some people. You go from a very constrained world to something that's very open and flexible and scalable. So, you know, you can now do things that you could never do before. You now can access things you've never accessed before. So that part is very addictive to people. So it's very important to put those guardrails up to safeguard, you know, our budget. We only have so much per year. All right. Assessing last period spends, collectively setting goals. You know, we want to start tying our spend rates and to our strategic goals, what we want to look like in 5 and 10 years from now. Our leadership has set forth quite a few strategic goals in IO, and we want to be able to align with them. So that's going to be coming up, and we're going to be focusing on that. Expanding our collaboration with the other administrations. That's critical too. Sometimes we get knee-deep into day-to-day activity, and we forget that it's critical to coordinate, collaborate, and really work closely with everybody in the VA to bring them up to speed, because they're learning about the cloud too. And we all kind of want to be on the same page. And this kind of like realigns with what I was saying as far as metrics, expanding those mid-performers and high performers, aligning our business metrics, taking advantage of our cost model, right? I mean, the more projects that we have in the cloud, the more we can negotiate these contracts to get better rates, right? And that's critical. We can get some really good rates if we negotiate correctly. And then this is a kind of a core maturity value spectrum that we have implemented in the VA. I'm going to really kind of focus on that bottom area of we're working towards decisions unsupported by data to decisions supported by data. We're looking to local optimize and manual process to system optimization and automation. IT project outcome focus to customer product outcome focus. Centralization versus decentralization. Isolated functional execution to cross-functional. Cross-functional is critical. So we think we're on target to be working on these going forward. And we're pretty excited about this maturity model. In the VA, I think there's maturity model level 3 that is up and operational. And ECSO just entered into level 3. So we're one of the few people in IO that is at that level, especially in a cloud-related environment. So we're pretty proud of that. And some of the takeaways as we wrap up. Significant paradigm shift, y'all. It truly is. And it is critical that you recognize it, and you build and you use it, and you leverage it to the best of your capability to bring that education up and get people owning it and wanting to own it and energized about it. Leveraging the FinOps framework. Now remember, y'all, it's framework, right? It's not a you have to do X, Y, Z. Maybe it's you do X, A, and Q. You know, I mean, whatever makes sense for your organization. I think that's critical when understanding any kind of methodology, that it isn't a cradle to grave and once and done, and you have to do A through Z or you fail. You're in a continual journey throughout that. And then finally, everyone, gain ownership of everyone. It's everybody's responsibility, especially in an OpEx model, in a cloud FinOps model. You know, it's ownership, it's accountability. So that's critical. And thank you.
Thank you so much. We've just got a few minutes left, if you don't mind. I will channel, rather than running around the room myself, I'll channel some of the room's questions for you and ask some of the obvious. How do you acquire the cloud that you use? You're using multiple clouds, you're getting those through one contract, or how are you doing that?
We leverage 2 contracts, and we use resellers for those contracts. And then we negotiate based on our volume of our expectations, and we get pretty good rates on that.
That's great. I don't know if you said at the beginning how big the Department of Veterans Affairs is.
It's pretty big. I think it's like 800,000 people. It's the largest integrated health center in the country. So
yeah,
we're pretty big.
The biggest health provider. And it really highlights how important the work that you're doing is to support all the veterans and the benefits that they receive and the health care they receive every day. So, yeah. You've obviously got a ton of different applications still to migrate. How are you prioritizing their
Well, we learned a lot. When we started, it was just whoever we could get through the door. Okay. And now that we've got people in there and the adoption rate's growing, now we prioritize, we use a plan against, we have a data center consolidation effort that's going, and we utilize that to kind of filter in projects. And we also, you know, depending on you know, special cases, you know, prioritization, top-down type situation, like our Vistas, all of our Vistas, which is our VA health OS, you should say, is it's all being migrated to the cloud. So that kind of filtered into our backlog.
Are the assessments prioritized the same way, or how do you do those?
Yeah, no, assessments started, it was just a random selection, you know, as a QA type thing or a QC type thing. But now it's like we take a random pool, quarterly we go and we round up based on how long they've been in sustainment and production. And then we pull ones that maybe we haven't done before, you know, and as that grows, it'll be a lot better.
I just, maybe one more. You mentioned the training that you're doing across all the hundreds of thousands of people that are doing this work. How are you pushing that out?
And that's ever going too. We do lunch and learns. We do over-the-shoulder training. We do one-on-one training. We do. We're building in CSP professional training for each of our CSPs on our VA platform training platforms. So we inject in a lot of different areas. We do reoccurring meetings between cross-functional teams. So we have a center of excellence that we're part of. So we have quite a few areas there that we can communicate out and train and teach. And
then I'll ask the obvious question that I know everybody in the room is thinking, can I get access to your assessment rubric and criteria?
Yeah, reach out to me. You know, I'm kind of restricted to like government to government, but definitely I've put some stuff up on these slides that should help at least drive the commercial world if they're interested that way. But if you're government, be happy to share that information with you.
And if you go to the next slide, I think that's your contact information. There we go.
There we
go.
If
you're interested in seeing some of the stuff that Department of Veterans Affairs is doing, please contact Sue.
Yes, please do.
Thank you so much for talking with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, and I absolutely loved it, and I love this conference. It's amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Give her a hand again. Thank you.
Thanks for watching that session. I'm sitting here in San Diego right after FinOps X. We hope you join us next year here live 2024. In the meantime, please subscribe to the channel and join the community. Get involved. Join the summits. Get in a working group. And don't forget to get FinOps certified. Because next year here in San Diego for FinOps X, it's going to be twice as big. Come join the party. Come meet your people. Welcome home.